You know what you should do? You should follow me on Twitter at Brommer018. Link in the description. Do it now. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another PES 2021 custom tactics video. This series where I show you how to recreate real systems in PES 2021. We've done one video so far. It's a build on from my FIFA series where we do the same thing. We did cover Pep Guardiola's Barcelona from back in the day, so do go and check that one out if you haven't done so far. It went down fairly well. So I decided we're really going to try and continue with this series as much as we can. Today we are moving on to the Scottish Premier League, and in particular we're looking at Rangers. Steven Gerrard's Rangers system. They have of course just gone the entire league season unbeaten in their quest to win the league once again. And so I thought it'd be a good time to really have a look and focus on that one. We've had a few suggestions for it as well. Something that we covered on FIFA 20. About 18 months ago or so. But, we're having a look at it on PES, and I have to say, sort of initial thoughts on it is that in terms of replicating tactics and systems that we try and do in this, this has been the most lifelike system I've ever done across either game, PES or FIFA. This has replicated the system pretty much identically to how it is played in real life. The game has done a really good job of doing that, coupled in with obviously the tactics that we've set, the formation, the instructions, etc. And therefore it's one that I really enjoyed. I had a lot of fun playing with it. Like I say, it was pretty much identical to the way they play. So in terms of replicating systems, I think this is probably the best one that I have done so far across the entire series the last 2 years or so. So one that I think you guys are going to enjoy. An overall basis of the system, very much possession orientated. Of course, they have to be, particularly in the domestic games, in the league and stuff. They are expected, sort of take the game to teams and control games. Might be slightly different in Europe, but generally the same principles do carry over across both. So we are going to get into that today. So first things first, what we're going to have a look is the formation, and as you'll see, it's this one that we've selected, this 4-3-2-1. You'll notice that both Ryan Kent and Yanis Hadji in this situation are actually attacking midfielders. So what you'll find with this Rangers system is that despite the fact it is essentially a 4-3-3, both wingers actually sort of come into more central areas, and they're sort of false wingers. Even Ryan Kent, who is really an out-and-out winger, and it's something that in particular has been replicated really well in this game. Now, I've spoken about in the past across various sort of platforms how I do believe Ryan Kent is better coming out to the touchline, being as wide as possible, getting the ball in those situations to be isolated against fullbacks. But it's really about keeping in with the structure of the team. Part of this is to try and crowd out essential areas. They also feel like they can get those advanced players like Hadji or Aribo, Roof, Kent, etc. on the ball more in those central areas. And part of it is also because then it creates more room for the two fullbacks, Barisic and Tavernier, who are a massive part of the way they play. It's often about getting balls into wide areas for them, crossing balls into the box for the likes of Morelos and the attacking midfielders and any box-to-box midfielder they may have. So really it sort of couples in both with what they want to do. In addition, what you'll notice is that obviously with the three central midfielders, it's a very flat central midfield three, and that's very much how they play with the likes of Kamara and Davis, Jack. Generally what you're looking at is, like we say, a flat central midfield three. You've also got the likes of Aribo or Arfield, who will sometimes come into those positions as well. But generally it is these three, and it allows them to get those fullbacks forward into advanced positions, to have the three front men in more advanced positions, and they can just fill in for them when they need to. Sometimes you get them coming a bit forward, helping them with the press, etc. But generally it's a flat midfield three. There's a lot of similarities here between this system and I guess Liverpool's system, Jurgen Klopp. So whether he's taken some sort of inspiration from that, wouldn't surprise me at all. So that's what we have there. We can first off look at the attacking instructions, I guess. So attacking style possession game. Generally, that's what they're going to look to do. If always, even against teams in Europe, you might find more of a counter-attacking element, but they still like to try and build out from the back, play through the thirds, etc. Because that's really where their strength is. You know, they've got a lot of good players who are very good, you know, on the ball, etc. And you can couple that in with the build-up as well. We're looking at short passing here. Again, it's similar issue. They've not really got that counter-attacking threat. Other than Ryan Kent, there's not a lot of pace in the side. Let's say, for example, up front you've got Morelos or Defoe, and then on the other wide area you've got someone like Hadji or Kemar Roof. There's not a lot of pace there other than Ryan Kent to counter-attack. So again, really playing to their strengths there by looking to build up, you know, short passing ways. Now with attacking area, what we did sort of allude to just is how they want to try and build up in the wide areas, because generally what they're going to do is try and get the ball out wide to the fullbacks and then go from there. Now naturally you've got a lot of players in those central areas crowded out, and what I sort of want to say here is, despite the fact that the two well, false wingers, I guess you could call them, are just that, they're playing as attacking midfielders, they will sometimes come out wide. You know, occasionally they'll drift out when they need to. And that again creates mismatch options, a lot of movement, which is what you need to complement this sort of possession game. So sometimes they'll drift out wide as well, but generally it's about the fullbacks. And you'll see that was very much in the gameplay. That was very much the way that we tried to attack and tried to target teams, getting out wide to the likes of Barisic, etc. We do score a goal from that as well. You know, we created a couple of really good chances from that sort of situation. So again, it's about getting the ball out wide and utilising their good crossing ability. With positioning, generally maintain formation. Again, particularly with the central midfielders, you're not going to find them rotating around too much. It's quite orthodox in that sense. The only real rotation you're going to get is occasionally when you see, maybe in this case, Kent and Hadji, you know, sort of drifting out wide a little bit more. Very rarely they'll sometimes rotate wings, but that's only for a very short period within a game. Generally, you know, they're all sticking to their you know, sort of positions, maintaining their shape. And that's another thing as well. What you want to talk about with the shape, which we'll come on to shortly, is how it's very, very big on retaining shape, keeping the shape in all areas, whether it's on the ball, attacking, final third, or defending. It's always about maintaining that same shape. And with support range, we have this on 2. Again, we can couple this in with the short passing build-up. You're looking to get players coming closer to the ball and given an option. That way you don't have a lot of pace to be running in behind. You have a little bit, but not a lot. So therefore, we do have this one on 2. So moving on to defensive instructions next. Defensive style, frontline pressure. This is something that in particular this season they've really worked on and they've improved. They're sort of counter pressing in general, something they were a little bit passive in the early stages of Gerrard's reign in the first season in particular. Something this season, what's really helped them come on defensively as well, is how they're trying to press from the front a little bit more, and it's really worked well for them. Containment area, we shift these out wide. I guess we can talk about this now. We will mention it a bit more in the advanced instructions as well, but what you'll find is generally, yes, they'll shepherd teams out wide. They want to crowd out the middle. They don't want teams to play through them. They want to have to go round. But also what you'll find is, and this is one thing that the game did extremely well, coupled with our instructions as well, is that rather than the two attacking mids, Ryan Kent and Yanis Hadji, coming out wide, let's say the opposition pass it out to their right back. Generally, let's say Ryan Kent is on the left hand side, he won't come out. He won't come out to that side to mark the right back. Instead, the left central midfielder will come out. So in this case, you know, we've got Glenn Kamara here. Instead, what you'll find is he will come out wide, and then Ryan Kent will drop into that space there. And this is something the game replicated just perfectly, absolutely perfectly. And part of the reason why they do that is, in my opinion, to try and retain these guys' stamina as much as possible. You know, these three are really sort of industrious, versatile midfielders in terms of their ability. So they've all got a lot of stamina. Even Stephen Davis, who's, you know, what, 35, 36 years old, still playing week in, week out. He's very, very, you know, sort of physically gifted, as are the likes of Ryan Jack, Glenn Kamara, Scott Arfield, etc. All can just run and run for days, so they can come out and more
and then you can preserve the stamina of these two more creative attacking midfielders. So it does a really good job of that when they're trying to shepherd them out wide. With pressuring, we have this on aggressive. Again, we sort of already alluded to this, how they're looking to pressure a little bit more. They want to press more, counter press more in particular, and that really just sort of shepherds in with the fact that they're aggressive pressuring. And finally, with defensive line, we have this all the way up to 10. Essentially, you can put this down a little bit when you're playing in European games, for example, if you are playing as Rangers, because you will see they'll lay off a little bit, but generally, particularly in domestic games, they'll really want to push up the field. You'll find centre-backs often coming into the opposition half with the ball. In fact, you'll find the entire defensive line is way past the halfway line. Generally this will be on 10. But like I say, if you want a little bit of leeway in the European games, you can drop it off just a little bit. And finally, with compactness, we actually have this on 6. So the reason being why we don't have this on basically all the way up to 9, 10, etc., to really make it as narrow as possible, is for the reason that we just spoke about, how we want the central midfielders to get out wide, and to really help them out with that. Obviously, we have to raise the compactness a little bit just because of the way the game works, and obviously it's trying to work that one out. So it means that the central midfielders can get out wide a little bit more and cover those areas. So it just gives them that little bit more extra ability to do that. However, we don't need this all the way down to 1. You don't want to be too open in those situations. I found that 6 was a nice balance, and it did recreate it nicely. So that's it for attacking and defensive instructions. We're finally going to round off with advanced instructions. First one is attacking fullbacks. Don't need to go into this too much because we've already spoken about it, how naturally obviously the fullbacks are overlapping. They're a big part of the way they attack, and this also helps with the attacking midfielders, Kent and Hadji, coming into more central areas. As does centering targets as well. So the thing with centering targets is, now we looked at this, and obviously we can only have 2 attacking instructions. And first off, I wanted false winger because it would have really helped to make Kent and Hadji come into those central areas. But then I realised as attacking midfielders that won't really have any bearing. So we looked at this, and centering targets was definitely the best way to replicate it, because then you've got players like Morelos and the 2 attacking midfielders, and maybe a central midfielder if it's someone like Arfield or a Rebo, who will get forward a little bit more, getting into the box. So it really complements your ability to cross the ball, and that is the most important thing. And as you can see, obviously we do score a goal from it. We have a couple of really good chances from it as well. So it really plays into the way that they play. And finally, we only have 1 defensive instruction, and that is swarm the box. You'll see in the game, we forced Celtic into a lot of shots from outside the box, which, it didn't really trouble us that much. McGregor was making plenty of saves, and it was easy to deal with. And that's really what they do. Because of the fact they've got those 3 defensive midfielders as well, those flat central midfield 3, they can really, gives them the ability to swarm that box, to crowd out that box as much as possible. They don't want teams getting into those intricate areas. They want to force them to shoot from out wide, and it works. It works really, really well, particularly in this game as well, as long as obviously you've got a competent goalkeeper, which we did in this case. So generally, you'll force them into more situations where they've just got to shoot from further out, and that's not ideal for the opposition. So that really rounds it off then, guys, I think, for this tactic. If you've got any questions about the system, about teams to play with, any suggestions for future tactics to do on PES, then please do just put them in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. As I say, really enjoyed playing with this tactic. I hope you guys do too. If you enjoyed it, please do leave a like, but most importantly, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so that you get notifications every time I upload. Really looking to get more of these PES Tactics videos out on top of the FIFA 21 series as well. So hopefully you guys, will really warm to that, and we'll see how that one goes. On that note, I think we are going to finish it there. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you soon.